Hey, welcome. So today we're going to tackle a really big question about our online lives. We're always talking about owning our data, right? But what if that's just the wrong way to think about it entirely? What if your digital self isn't some piece of property to be bought and sold, but an actual extension of your mind?
So let me just ask you this straight up. Who really owns your online identity? I'm talking about your photos, your friend lists, all those random thoughts you've posted across a dozen different apps. Is it you? Or is it the companies that hold all the keys? The answer, as you probably know, is messy. It's complicated. And honestly, it's pretty unsatisfying.
All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to look at the problem, how our digital selves got so scattered in the first place. Then we'll dive into a pretty wild idea from philosophy that could change everything. After that, we'll check out the new vision for the web that this idea inspires, the tech that makes it possible, why this is about so much more than just ownership, and finally, what this could all mean for the future of our digital world.
So let's start with the scattered digital self. This is the world we live in right now. Our digital lives are broken up into little pieces, locked away in systems that don't talk to each other. It creates a version of us that's incomplete and, totally out of our control.
The techie term for this problem is a data silo. And you can really just think of it like a digital prison. Every social media platform, every app, every service you use, it's its own separate silo. Your data goes in, the company uses it, but good luck trying to get it out, move it, or combine it with your information from somewhere else. Your digital life is completely trapped.
And this slide just perfectly shows the disconnect. The original dream of the World Wide Web was this single, universal space for information. But what we got instead is a bunch of walled gardens. These fragmented monocultures where each app can only really talk to itself. It's the exact opposite of what the web was supposed to be. This quote from Danah Boyd really gets to the heart of why this is such a big deal. When we make a profile or post a photo, we are, as she puts it, writing oneself into being. This isn't just random data. It's you creating your identity. And to have that identity fractured and controlled by a bunch of different companies, that's a really profound problem.
Okay, so if our data is actually part of our identity, maybe we need a totally new way to think about it. And what if that new way comes not from computer science, but from philosophy? Get ready for a radical new way to see your digital self. So stick with me here. This is a little mind-bending. It's called the extended mind hypothesis. A couple of philosophers, Andy Clark and David Chalmers, suggested that our minds aren't just stuck inside our skulls. Think about it. When you use a notebook to remember something, that notebook is actually part of your memory process. The hypothesis says the web, this giant external brain, could literally be a part of how we think.
And the idea gets even bigger, even wilder. Clark and Chalmers then asked, well, could our minds be socially extended? Imagine you're working on a shared document with a friend. Your edits pop up on their screen, their thoughts influence yours, all in real time. In that moment, that shared document isn't just a tool, it's part of a collective thought process, a shared mind.
So here's the big takeaway. If we run with this idea, then our online data, our profiles, our conversations, our shared projects, it isn't just property to be owned. It's a literal extension of our minds, our memories, and our thinking. And suddenly, the whole debate shifts from ownership to something way deeper, personal autonomy and our own integrity.
Okay, so if our online self is an extension of our actual self, how do we build a web that respects that? Well, this brings us to the Solid project. It's a vision for a new kind of web, and it's led by the guy who invented the web in the first place, Sir Tim Berners-Lee. The way Solid works is actually revolutionary because it's so simple. First, it separates your data from the apps that use it. Step 2, all your data lives in a personal online data store. They call it a pod that you control. It's your own secure home on the web. And third, you give apps permission to read or write specific data in your pod. Get this, the apps come to your data. You don't have to hand over your data to the apps anymore.
Now, that all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work under the hood? Let's quickly look at the 3 key pieces of tech that make this whole people-centric web a reality. Solid pods, web ID, and linked data. First up, the pods. Like we said, this is your personal home for data on the web. It's where you keep your photos, your contacts, your calendar, everything. And the crucial part is, you get to choose where to keep it. You can go with a provider you trust, or you could even host it on a server in your own house. You have the ultimate control. Next, there's Web ID. The best way to think about this is like a universal digital passport. Instead of having, 100 different usernames and passwords for every single site, you have one global ID, your Web ID, that you own and you control.
Use it to log in everywhere, proving you're you, without having to give away your personal info over and over.
And finally, here's the magic that ties it all together: linked data. This is basically a common language that all the different apps can speak. It's a standard format for structuring information so that it's universally understandable. It's what lets a new calendar app you're trying read an event created by a social app you used last year. It creates real interoperability.
And the benefits here are just huge. I mean, because all the data speaks the same language, we can start to search our own little corner of the web like it's a giant personal database. We can find new connections and collaborate in ways that are just impossible in the siloed world we have today. It makes the web truly interconnected again.
Okay, so we've got this new technical foundation. With that in place, we can start to manage our digital lives in a much more sophisticated, more human way, moving us far beyond that simplistic idea of data as property.
See, the old model treats data like property, and access is a blunt instrument. It's either yes or no. You either share all your contacts with an app or you share none of them. This new model enables what's called contextual access. It's flexible. It's based on relationships, just like the real world. Your access rights can change dynamically depending on the social situation.
And that really gets to the core of it, right? Our relationships aren't static. They're not set in stone. We get closer to some people, we grow apart from others. As this quote points out, our digital permissions need to reflect that reality. These one-time, static permission settings, they just can't keep up with the complexity of human life.
This is where this idea of context becomes so powerful. It lets us build a kind of social map for our data. We can set rules like, my close family can see my personal photos, or my coworkers can see my professional calendar. The system understands these relationships and grants access based on them, so you don't have to manage permissions for every single person one by one.
So what's the ultimate goal here? Where is all this heading? What does a web built on these ideas actually look like? Well, it's about something much bigger than technology. It's about digital sovereignty.
Look, this isn't just some fancy new way to move your data around. This is a fundamental shift. It's about building a web that's designed from the ground up to respect you as an individual. It's about baking human values like trust and privacy and all of our social norms directly into the architecture of the web itself, shifting power away from platforms and back to people.
And that leads us with one last big thought. Our offline lives are governed by these rich, complex, unspoken social rules. Our online lives, right now, are not. But what if we could build a digital world that actually understood and reflected the subtleties of our human relationships? Could that technology, in turn, help us create a more connected and maybe even a more humane world, both online and off? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.